But staying with Germany briefly then, Der Spiegel, one of the quality legacy titles in Germany, has got hold of this. Yes, it's in German. We get complaints when we put German headlines up, but an English report on this will be included in the show notes. Der Spiegel has picked up over the weekend that the federal criminal police, the Bundeskriminalamt or BKA, is, if a draft bill goes through, which the ministry is just planning at the moment, the German Interior Ministry, it will be given opportunities to perform secret while you were out raids on people's homes, in contrary to any Western practice of recent decades, which is to give people notice and to allow them to film the police and watch while they're searching. And of course, they will also be able, if this goes ahead, to put bugging devices on people's computers and such while they're out. And the Spiegel disingenuously reports that, and they're not even quoting a ministry source, this is their own editorializing here, that there's nothing to worry about because it's not specifically prohibited by the German pseudo-constitution, the basic law or Grundgesetz, to have the resident absent while the house is being searched. Therefore, it says the Bundestag is perfectly at liberty when nudged by the German government to allow a change in the law for the police to do this. It's all being done at federal level because the 16 federal states or Länder would never allow this, and that's where the competence is supposed to lie in Germany's federal system. Another report by another title, RND, in Germany gives more detail, and both of these, as I say, are summarized in an English-speaking piece that I'll put in the show notes.
And I just very briefly want to mention this criminal justice bill once again, because if we remember what the Tory government was attempting to do with this, and I don't imagine that the Labour government is going to do anything different when the equivalent comes in the not too distant future, give the police the powers they need to tackle theft by creating new power to enter a premises without a warrant to search for and seize stolen goods. Alex, it doesn't really matter what the limitation is, whether it's limited to theft or whatever. But as soon as you start allowing the police to enter premises without a warrant, this is a slippery slope.
Of course, because with the best will in the world, you're dealing with people who've got every motivation to plant stuff on people. You know, there's been many examples of this, even in the better run jurisdictions like as England and Wales used to be. And, you know, even the tin pot regimed on the European continent understood in the past that you don't just let police break into people's houses when they're not there, because the overwhelming temptation is going to be to plant stuff, whether it be drugs or extremist material.
Right. And then where does that take us to the EU Commission?
Yes, Thierry Breton, the EU's Commissar for Digital Services, has gone out on a limb and been slapped down by von der Leyen, his boss, interestingly here. So it started last weekend, beginning of last week actually, when on behalf of the Commission, on a Commission-headed notepaper, he, no doubt using an underling, but signing off on it himself as France's EU Commissioner, wrote to Elon Musk with regards to X, formerly Twitter, saying that you'll be aware that our Digital Services Act, Thierry Breton's made a big to-do about that, it's his main policy, obviously, we regard you as a VLOP, a very large online platform, so we treat you effectively as though you were covered by EU law, is the substance of it. He says, on the one hand, there's freedom of speech, and on the other hand, we have to balance it with all the other stuff. And there's an implication here that you have to tip off the EU secretly if people in the EU tweet things that we don't like. And so I expect that you will behave as if you were an EU-based platform, because people in the EU can read the stuff, and using campaigning language here rather than legal language, this stuff is being amplified in our jurisdiction. And I note in passing that the EU is a single jurisdiction as far as Thierry Breton is concerned, not 27 jurisdictions, etc., illegal content. So I urge you to promptly ensure the effectiveness of your systems to report measures taken. Well, the first thing Elon Musk did was to make this letter public. And he compared Mr. Breton, who is, of course, a Frenchman, with John Cleese's character of the Norman castle ramparts guy in Monty Python, who leans over the battlements and starts flighting, medieval taunting of the English. And he topped that by quoting a film line, which again I won't quote on lunchtime family news, which invited Mr. Breton to take a step back and literally copulate with his own face, using a different and shorter word for copulate. But it didn't end there. The US Congress decided to take up the cudgel here and wrote back to Monsieur Breton saying, or at least the Committee on the Judiciary did, that you must take no action to interfere in the American democratic process. And they analysed what this letter had constituted as being threats of reprisal towards X-Corp. And in the same time frame, by the way, last week, X has pulled out of Brazil as a basis of operations because Alexandre de Moraes, the Supreme Court head honcho and general dictator of Brazil, as it now turns out, has been making unlawful threats to go after the Twitter people based in Brazil. And it doesn't end there, because Disclose TV reports that, this is just one of many titles that's reported this, that Brussels, in the form of the Commission corporately, collegially, has said that Mr. Breton was not speaking on behalf of the whole Commission. So an interesting development here, that perhaps they realise they're going a bit too far. And if you just bring that on screen very briefly, you will see in tiny red letters in the box at the bottom, AI summary. I don't want to have a go at other alternative media where we don't have to, but it is a shame that Disclose TV and many other people in the scene are now openly saying this summary was written by artificial intelligence. Do we not have people to write things?
Well, it's difficult, Alex, but we can talk about that a little bit extra as well.